Come on in. Come on in, gather around, everyone. We're going to do this. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard to today's edition of Poso Nation. The news coming out of Pennsylvania is very disturbing. Not only for those of us who are from Pennsylvania, like myself, but also for everyone who lives in Pennsylvania, who has family in Pennsylvania, and of course, happens to have family members in these nursing homes, these senior facilities, long-term care facilities. There's a various different names for these institutions, but the story and the facts that have been coming out are absolutely damning. And by the way, this is not like a conservative media push or anything. This was an investigation done by USA Today. This is information that's coming from, in terms of New York, it was the New York Times, Cuomo. Also, we're now seeing stuff from ABC 27, which is a local ABC affiliate in Pennsylvania, in central Pennsylvania. And so what we're seeing now is a pattern of very disturbing policy choices that were made by the Secretary of Health, and that were, of course, co-signed by the governor, which essentially set up a situation where infected patients who had been infected with COVID-19, after they were discharged from hospitals, they were then sent back to nursing homes, where they were placed in nursing homes were people who had not been infected with COVID-19, right? So think about this, right? We knew early on, all the way back in January, you can go look at my tweets from Wuhan talking about this, that there was a much higher risk of mortality when it came to senior citizens, right? We knew that seniors were the ones who were most at risk. Yet the policies of Governor Wolf and Secretary Levine actually ordered, by the way, not just suggested, but ordered that infected patients would be sent out of the hospitals and brought back into nursing homes. And we have now a smoking gun. We now have a smoking gun in all of this, because last night, they went to the Secretary of Health and they asked her, why was it that you moved your mother out of a personal care home and put her into a hotel, her 95-year-old mother? Why did you move her out at that time? And it's now come out that the Secretary of Health moved her mother, 95-year-old mother, out of a personal care home and put her into a hotel. Now, obviously, look, I'm glad that her mother is safe. I have nothing against her mother. I'm so glad that her mother is healthy and has survived. But the question now is the public trust, because you moved your mother out of one of these facilities at the same time that your own order was sending infected patients in. So again, we've got one set of rules for the ruling class and another set of rules for everyone else. We've got one set of rules. We've got one truth, right? We've got one truth. This is, I mean, someone said it's like insider trading, but it's worse than insider trading, because it's like insider death panels, quite frankly. We've got a situation now where you knew, right? You actually knew, and that's a problem. That's a very big problem, because we weren't just trading stocks. You were gambling with human lives, gambling with the human lives of our senior citizens. This is our cultural capital. These are the people who raised us. These are the people who taught us how to walk, who taught us how to ride a bike. Veterans. For veterans of World War II, veterans of Vietnam, Korea. And I don't really know how else to put this. I really don't know how else to put this other than there absolutely needs to be investigation of not only, by the way, every governor who had this policy, right? And it's not just Pennsylvania. We've seen it in New York. We've seen it in New Jersey. We've seen it with Governor Whitmer in Michigan. Massachusetts had it at one point, but then they rescinded it very quickly. California, Governor Newsom. Funny enough, is all of the research that my team has done into California and Ron DeSantis has shown that Ron DeSantis in Florida prohibited infected patients from going into to nursing homes. That Ron DeSantis said and looked at it from a common sense perspective and said, if you've got infected patients, and we know that it's going to hit seniors hardest, then why would you put those who were infected in the same facility as people that hadn't already contracted the virus? Shouldn't you put those completely on lockdown? And now, of course, we're also seeing that there may have been financial incentives for this. We're now seeing that there may have been financial incentives because they received more funding from the federal government if they declared themselves or if they established a COVID-19 facility. So if you established a COVID-19 facility, you got 50% increase in government funding. And that's why so many of these centers were racing to admit people. And because keep in mind, folks, by the way, that you say, well, hold on a second. If people were infected, wouldn't, and just a common sense perspective, wouldn't you want, right, the infected people being kept away from the healthy people, right? Common sense. That's what fever hospitals were, right? Fever hospitals were, this is from London, right? From way back. Fever hospitals where were, okay, infected patients will be there, and other people who have other medical situations, like obviously seniors have a lot of comorbidities. That's just, when you get old, something gets you, right? That's life. Why would you put these people in the same facility? Well, it's because there was a financial incentive. That we're now starting to see come out because you got a bump in government funding in order to do this. Right, that's why when you look at New York, that's what the Javits Center was for. That's what they originally weren't going to put infected patients on the USNS Comfort, but then eventually they did start bringing infected patients. But then they said they didn't need them, and I remember everybody kept asking me, said, where are the infected patients? And by the way, we know that at the same time they use the Leah Core Center at Temple University, my alma mater in Philadelphia, for this. But everybody was saying, so hold on a second, wait a minute. If we know that they're not doing elective surgeries in hospitals, right, then that means that hospital capacity was actually going to be quite expanded. Right? I'm not talking about ICUs, but I'm just talking about your sort of regular hospital rooms or your non-ICU rooms at a hospital. So if those rooms are open, why not simply establish a fever wing for your hospital? I mean, keep them in the hospital. Don't put them back in the home. This is basic common sense. So put them, keep them in the hospital where they can't go back to the nursing home and infect people. It seems this is basic common sense, right? It's basic common sense. But when government's involved, as my libertarian friends will be first to remind you, that when government's involved, common sense seems to be the first thing that flies out the window. And now we've got a situation where we know that this has been an absolute bloodbath when it comes to senior citizens. An absolute bloodbath when it comes to senior citizens. And there's really no way around it. There's really no And we knew from China, and even if we weren't sure about China, we certainly knew from the news out of the videos that we were getting out of northern Italy, right, Bergamo, the videos of the coffins lined up in churches in northern Italy, and we knew that it was seniors. Right, we were talking to Italian journalists every day talking about this. And this was the policy. And that's what's key here. That's what's key here. This was policy from a lot of these governors. And now we're seeing in Pennsylvania, the Secretary of Health, who was the one that enacted the policy, Governor Wolf was the one who appointed the Secretary of Health, Rachel Levine. And now we found out that she got her own mother out of there all the way back in March. And I don't have the dates yet, but we know that the policy went into effect in March. So it would obviously be very interesting to see if she got her mother out before the policy was in place. Yeah, this is pro-life, right? This is about being pro-life. Are you pro-life, or are you pro, I don't even know what? I don't even know what. Yeah, someone's saying, oh, wow, that's shady. Yeah, to say the least. To say the least, it's quite shady. And look, I'm trying to be serious about this, and I'm trying to be nonpartisan. And if there's Republicans involved in this, then they need to be investigated too. And if there's Democrats involved, because this isn't about Republican, Democrat. This is about politicians and people, right? The politicians were the ones that set up this policy, and the people are the ones who died, or are the ones who died. Right? Simple as that. It's as simple as that. It's politicians versus the people, the powerful versus the powerless. And what is more pro-life than protecting seniors? What is more pro-life than protecting our cultural capital? What is more pro-life than protecting the people that fought for us, that provided for us, and that raised us? This is the greatest generation we're talking about. We used to call them the greatest generation. Whatever happened with that? Whatever happened with the greatest generation? This is how we treated the greatest generation? Seriously? Our leaders failed our seniors. They completely failed them. And it's a simple look. It's a simple question. It's a simple question. Are we going to hold their feet to the fire, or are we going to let them get away? Or we get to look. You've already seen in Pennsylvania, they're trying to deflect. So what's going on is that Attorney General Josh Shapiro is saying, "Oh, well, we're going to investigate the nursing homes. We're going to investigate the nursing homes." So he's trying to put it. So the Pennsylvania AG, who's a very political guy, extremely partisan political guy, extremely partisan. I've known him a long time. Knew when he was a state rep. Extremely partisan political guy. So he's trying to put it on the nursing homes, but the nursing homes were following the policies of the state government. So how can you only put it on the nursing homes? You're only telling half the story. You're only telling half the story. It's above where the nursing homes above, obviously. But the point is, it's above the nursing homes. So that nursing home is only half the story. You got to tell the first part of the story before you get the second part of the story. But Josh Shapiro is trying to cut that out. He's trying to shift the blame away from the administration that he's a part of, the Wolf administration with Secretary Levine. He's trying to run air cover to get you focused on the nursing homes and not look at the. We posted the order. We've got it all saved. It's on your own website. It's on your own website. It's your own words and your own actions at getting your mother out. So we already have all the smoking guns here. We have the smoking gun. And the smoking gun that you knew was that you got your mother out. And by the way, I don't fault you for that. I don't fault you for that. I don't fault you for taking care of your mother, because that's biblical, right? That's biblical. Honor thy father and mother. That's a commandment. That's not a suggestion. Honor thy father and mother. But I would say that if you're going to follow the commandments, then you should be honoring all fathers and mothers, and not just your own. So if you're going to honor your father and mother, and at the same time, you're in a position of public authority, then the lives of all grandparents, mothers and fathers, the elderly, are in your hands. And if they are in your hands, you must treat them with respect, you must treat them with dignity, and you must honor them as is commanded. And so I would absolutely urge an investigation, whether it's done at the federal level or the Pennsylvania House could do this as well. Speaker Turzai and the House leaders could easily announce this tomorrow if they wanted to, because this is horrific. This is absolutely horrific. Now, people have asked me, they said, well, Jack, is it intentional? Poso, did they do this intentionally? Poso, did they mean to do this? So I don't know, right? That's a leap of logic. It's a leap of logic to say that it was done intentionally, because I can't read minds. And I can't read minds. But then you have to go and ask the next question, say, well, was it done knowingly or unknowingly? Was it done, did they know that the policy would increase the mortality rate for seniors, or was it an accident? Or was it an accident? And then normally you wouldn't, in most states, you wouldn't be able to answer that question. In most states, you say, well, maybe they just didn't know. Maybe it was just early on in all of this and they didn't know. Maybe they weren't sure. Maybe they had good intentions. Maybe it was unintentional. Maybe it was, just they were operating in good faith. But then here's the problem. In Pennsylvania, we know that the Secretary of Health got her mother out. So if the Secretary of Health got her mother out, then that's the smoking gun, because you know that she knew, right? So now you have evidence, and you have an action in furtherance of that evidence, an action taken in furtherance that you knew that this policy was going to lead to higher mortality because you got your own mom out. And I don't fault you for that. I don't fault you for that. But the policy is what we're talking about here. The policy that led to more deaths. And does everybody understand that? Do I want to recap it? Do you want me to recap it? Because what I'm saying is, we don't know if it was intentional, but it was knowing. And there's a big difference between intent and knowledge. Because the policy was for infected patients. So as simple as this. At the same time that Pennsylvania officials were ordering infected coronavirus COVID-19 patients into nursing homes, they got their own family members out of those same nursing homes. Right? And then you're trying to play this game with the mincing words. It wasn't a nursing home, it was a permanent care facility. All right, look, you know what we're talking about, okay? You know what we're talking about. You know what we're talking about. And what that means to a hospital, or excuse me, not a hospital, sorry, to a hotel. Got your own mom out to a hotel while you were putting infected patients into retirement communities. By your order. And we have the documents, we have the websites, we have the admission on live television last night that you did this. Admit it. I can play the clip. You want me to play the clip? Hold on, I'll play the clip. Hold on. People are saying they're not sure. They're not sure. I'll play the clip. I'm more than happy to play the clip for you, because don't take my word for it. Because evidence is important to me. I'm a fact-based guy. I'm an evidence-based guy. So I'm going to play the clip. Give me 1 second. Here we go. Here's the clip. I'm going to do a package on this for One American News, just so you know. But I wanted to hop on this for you guys right now. All right, here we go. Let me start it over.
My first question is from ABC 27. Secretary, we're hearing that you moved your mother from a nursing home to a hotel. What message does that send to the thousands of Pennsylvanians whose parents are in nursing homes, but may be unable to move them out when the person in charge is overseeing nursing homes and is in charge of the state's response to coronavirus moves out their own parent?
Well, thank you for that question. My mother actually is a resident of a personal care home, not a nursing home. And that is regulated by the Department of Human Services, not the Department of Health. My mother requested, and my sister and I, as her children, complied to move her to another location during the COVID-19 outbreak. My mother is 95 years old. She is very intelligent and more than competent to make her own decisions. I remain committed to protecting residents of Pennsylvania wherever they live and wherever they go, whether it is in a facility that I regulate, whether it is in their homes and their communities, and whether or not they agree with our strategy.
So there you go. Full admission of the situation, right? That's full, absolute admission of the situation. I don't know why this isn't national news yet, but I'm doing my job to make sure that everybody knows that it should be national news. By the way, I'm drinking orange mango sparkling water this morning, and it's absolutely delicious. So we're going to make it national. We have to make this national because this is a situation now. And I'm even talking to when should I say that yet? Pennsylvania is going through a sort of rebellion right now. There's a lot of counties in Pennsylvania that have decided, in central Pennsylvania, that have decided to defy the governor's order and are now opening up on their own. And a lot of those counties are just about an hour and a half drive from Washington, D.C., because we're actually talking about central Pennsylvania, so York County, Lancaster County, and so I wanted to, I'm even talking about potentially going up there and covering what's going on, really kind of telling the story of the Pennsylvania rebellion against Governor Wolf. And that was already going on. And so the county, and by the way, that's not just businesses, that's county commissioners, it's local sheriffs, etc. And so I've already talked to people. It's my state, right? I know a lot of people there. So I've already talked to a few business owners there and political officials about going up. And what does Connor Lamb do? No, Connor Lamb's area is already open. We're talking about central Pennsylvania. That's western Pennsylvania. And so really looking at going up there. Am I coming to the rally in Harrisburg on Friday at the Capitol building at noon? I'm looking at coming up to Pennsylvania. Nothing is confirmed yet, so I don't want to, I'm not putting that out. Anyway, my point though is that everyone in Pennsylvania really needs to start looking at this situation. Oh, what's up? Kurt Schlichter's in here. He's dropping potato emojis in the comments. Thank you very much, Kurt. So we've now got a situation where not only are these counties in rebellion, and they are, right? They're rebellion against the governor's orders. But we've also got a situation where we now know that the governor's order, through the Secretary of Health, was leading to the deaths of seniors, to the deaths of our own senior citizens, our own grandparents. And my grandparents have all already passed, so they're not involved in the situation from a personal level. By the way, just saying no, I don't have any grandparents that are still around anymore, but I love them all very much. But that doesn't mean that we disregard our elderly, and that doesn't mean we disregard our seniors. And I get that there's sort of this meme out there about boomers and everything else, but that's just sort of a little teenage rebellion on the behalf of the Zoomers. I don't think anyone was calling for this level of death, this level of destruction, this level of breakdown of families, and to see that common sense was not followed, and to see that so many lives could have potentially been spared because you turned these nursing homes, these retirement communities, into death traps. And this is like the death panels that we were warned about. We were warned about the death panels about 10 years ago. And now they're here. And now they're here. And the death panel decided that they were going to move the deaths to the retirement communities. And that's a problem. That's a big problem. And we already know there's lawyers. I had Robert Barnes on yesterday talking about looking at class action lawsuits, and it's clearly elder abuse, but it's far greater than that. And that's why in Pennsylvania and in all the states, by the way, and I would urge everyone, if your state was not one of the ones I mentioned earlier on, then please look into your states to determine. And by the way, I really want to be clear about this, is that I'm not trying to make this a partisan thing, that if Republicans are caught up in this, that I want to go after them just as hard as anybody else. This is about politicians versus the people. All right. This is about the insiders versus the outsiders. This is the powerful versus the powerless. Okay. This is not about red versus blue. This is not about R versus D, right? Because this is bigger than that. This is lives. Okay. This is lives. This is not a political issue. I would hope this is not a political issue, that we want to protect our seniors and that we are supportive of the lives of American citizens. I would hope that that's not a political issue, but that's where we are, folks. That's where we are. So please look in the comments of this video, please check and see if your state wasn't mentioned. I'll go through the list of states again very quickly right before you end here, because I do have to get going. But the list of states is as follows: New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, California, Michigan, Wisconsin. Massachusetts did it first, but then they stopped. And then Florida, Ron DeSantis, prohibited senior citizens from going into these facilities. Excuse me, infected seniors from going back into these facilities. Prohibited it. And so we've got a huge problem, and I'm definitely calling for an investigation, specifically in Pennsylvania, because of the fact that the Secretary of Health was doing one thing for her own family and yet instituting another order for everyone else. This is why conservatives warned about putting the government in charge of healthcare. This is specifically why. This is the death panel politics that we always warned about. So please join me in this. Please help me with this research. I want to crowdsource as much of it as possible. We're going to look into it. We, of course, are also going to be looking at it from One American News. But, of course, I have this incredible platform, and I have so many wonderful people that love our country as much as I do, that are so many patriots, so many digital soldiers that are out there. And so I want to reach out to you guys. We absolutely need to come together on this one. Regardless of what your other thoughts are in this situation, I think that everyone in the country should agree that we should be protecting our seniors. And I want to know every piece of information that led to the inaction of these policies. I want to know every governor in America that went along with this. And I absolutely am calling for an investigation of the governor of Pennsylvania because of the evidence we have, the actions that were taken in furtherance of this in Pennsylvania. Let's do this, folks. This ain't about us. This is about our seniors, and this is about taking care of them, and this is about people in power using that power to abuse the powerless. And if we don't stand up for the powerless in our society, then we're a failed country and the republic is over. And it's literally as clear as that. If we don't stand up for the powerless in our country, then the republic is over. And we might as well just be communist China. So we are going to shine a light on this. We are going to shine a light. We are going to join together, and we are going to use truth. We are going to use facts. We are going to use evidence, and we're going to use sunlight to expose them all. Ladies and gentlemen, you have your marching orders. Let's get back together on this. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, you have my permission to lay ashore.